evening. The Delhi Chief Minister today called for an urgent all-party meeting to deal with the spiraling COVID situation in the capital, at the end of which it was decided that the fine for not wearing a mask in Delhi would be hiked from 500 rupees to 2,000 rupees. The Delhi High Court today once again gave a tongue lashing to the Delhi government. Are these last-minute measures too little, too late?
After massive crowds thronged markets for Diwali last week, the city's COVID count has gone up exponentially. Now, with Chhath Puja coming up, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal made this appeal.
छठ पूजा करने की मनाही नहीं है, केवल और केवल इतनी मनाही है कि किसी भी पब्लिक पॉन्ड पे, किसी भी पब्लिक तालाब पे, किसी वाटर बॉडी के अंदर हम उतर के एक साथ छठ पूजा नहीं मना सकते. अपने अपने घर में मनाते हैं ना इस बार छठ पूजा.
Kejriwal held an all-party meeting to discuss COVID management and containment, but the only concrete decision taken was to increase the fine for not wearing masks.
बहुत सारे लोग मास्क पहन रहे हैं, लेकिन कई लोग अभी भी मास्क पहनते नहीं हैं. तो लोगों को मास्क पहनवाने के लिए तो फाइन अभी 500 रुपए था, इसको बढ़ा के 2,000 रुपए फाइन किया जा रहा है.
Unimpressed with the Kejriwal government's action plan so far, the Delhi High Court pulled them up for their flip-flop on the cap of number of people at gatherings and weddings, saying the alarm bells should have rung loud and clear when the numbers were spiraling. The High Court had 5 direct questions for the Delhi government. Why did you not wake up when you saw the situation deteriorating? Why did we have to shake you out of your slumber on the 11th of November? Why did you wait 18 days to take a decision? Do you know how many lives were lost during this period? Can you explain it to those who lost their near and dear ones? The opposition is also upping the ante against the Kejriwal government, accusing them of not doing enough.
कि कोविड पेशेंट्स बढ़ रहे हैं. 1 लाख पेशेंट की मांग हमने लगभग 3 महीने पहले कही थी. पर मिलियन जांच की हम बात करें तो आज जो परिस्थितियां हैं, इसमें मिनिमम 2 लाख टेस्ट बढ़ाए जाएं.
Since the middle of May, the capital has gradually opened markets and public transport shut during the early phase of the pandemic. But Delhi is also grappling with pollution, and the air has high levels of tiny pollutants which doctors say can enter the nose and weaken the inner lining of the lungs and help the coronavirus spread.
Some very sharp questions from the Delhi High Court to the government. But before that, let's just tell you the story in numbers, and you can see why the situation in Delhi is close to alarming. The first 5 lakh cases in Delhi, that took a substantial amount of time. In fact, here you go. The first 1 lakh cases took 126 days, 3,000 deaths in that period. From 1 lakh to 2 lakh, it took half of that time, just 65 days, and the death toll also in that period went up to 1,500. From 2 lakh to 3 lakh, again it halved. It came down from 65 days to 29, less than a month. The deaths slightly lower than the previous 1 lakh at 1,000 and change. From 3 lakh to 4 lakh, it took 26 days. This was in the month of October when there was slightly a great amount of stability in the cases in Delhi. The deaths also coming down below 1,000. But in the last 1 lakh cases, that is 4 lakh to 5 lakh, it's just taken 15 days. All of this has happened just in the month of November, and the death toll has also gone up to just shy of 1,400. So, is the Delhi government's decisions taken here at this last few days basically too little, too late? The High Court asking some very pointed questions today. On the program tonight, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai is chairman of the Nephron Clinic, Harish Khurana, Delhi BJP spokesperson, and Reena Gupta, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Reena Gupta, let me start with you. The High Court had some very, very scathing words today, saying that you are in a slumber and the government only woke up after the High Court intervened. How would you respond to them? Today's measures, nothing really substantial other than the mask fine.
Zaka, the government of Delhi is taking all measures. Cases are rising all over the country and all over the world. But Delhi government is on top of the situation. We are working on a war footing. We are doing 65,000 tests every day. Even as we speak now, there are 7,500 beds still available in the government hospitals. There was a shortage of beds in private hospitals. So today we passed an order that 80% of the beds in private hospitals will also be reserved for COVID patients. The number of ICU beds also have been increased from today. And as you saw that the fine for wearing masks has also been increased from 500 to 2,000. So, I mean, do not show the graph of Delhi in isolation. You know, we should also look at what is happening in some of the other cities. I was looking at it's called the case fertility ratio. Like if there are 100 cases, how many deaths on 100 cases?
Yes.
The Delhi case fertility ratio, according to a Times of India report of today, is still 1.6. Whereas Ahmedabad is 4.0.
No, but
Pune
that's
is
not
2.5.
any solace, Reena, to the 131 people who died in the last 24 hours. In
No,
fact, over
because-
1,000 people have died in just the last 15 days of November. The concern is, and Dr. Bagai will explain this to you in just a moment, the concern here in Delhi is two things. One, you should have acted well before the festive season. You should have acted well before Diwali came. You saw all those pictures of people thronging Sarojini Market and Lajpat Nagar Market and Chandni Chowk and so on. Tens of thousands of people every single day. You should have stopped that or regulated that in some form, number one. Number two, and this is the most important thing, that because of pollution plus COVID, the disease has become much more lethal. Now, this is basic science. Everybody knows this. All doctors know this. The government knows this. And yet, in peak pollution season, when the cases were going up or at least threatening to go up, you did not do much. You're only waking up now. In fact, the emergency meeting that was called by the Home Ministry was on Sunday, just after Diwali. What were you doing for the first 15 days of November?
So the government, what can the government do? In COVID, the government can ramp up the health infrastructure. The government can run awareness campaigns. We've been doing both of those. We've been putting ads on newspapers. We've been doing pictorial. You can hardly walk 200 meters in Delhi and you will see a COVID appropriate behavior hoarding or a banner. We've been making announcements in all the public places, all the markets, newspapers, IVR, TV, SMS, everything we've been doing to educate the public. But COVID is such a virus that unless all of us take responsibility of wearing a mask, of practicing COVID appropriate behavior, that is the only way to contain it. And that is the reason why today the government has also increased the fine of not wearing a mask.
No, fair enough.
As far as the health infrastructure is concerned,
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that people also have to comply, and people were not complying, or at least in the run-up to the festive season. Harish Khurana, please respond. I think some would also argue that is precisely the problem. I mean, Arvind Kejriwal and his government have spent too much money on advertising and very little on enforcement.
Jacob, it was my own RTI which I revealed on Twitter today only. Government of Delhi has spent 108 crore rupees since March 2020 till date. In 7 months, they have spent 108 crore rupees. But if you talk about my friend Reena was talking about health infrastructure. Very sadly, there are only 578 ventilators beds are there in government Delhi hospitals. That's a sad story. 2 crore population in Delhi and 10,000 cases, 7,000, 8,000 cases per day. And you have a ventilator of 578. Out of that, 300 are given by PM Care Fund. So this is the health infrastructure we're talking about. Secondly, she was quoting some Times of India figure. I'll give you a death rate figure per lakh population. This Arogya Setu app figure, not mine. Out in that, Delhi population is 25.9. Delhi is per lakh and Pan India is 9.5 lakh per lakh. So this is a difference. And also infection
What
rate.
are you saying, Mr. Khurana? You're not making much sense.
Let me complete. I have not intervened in between you. Please have some patience. Infection rate is 1,641 in Delhi, which compared to Pan India is 646. So if you talk about health infrastructure, Delhi government has total failed. And if you talk about awareness campaigns and everything, just tell me one thing, your whole ministry, this is a photograph you have tweeted, CM has tweeted this whole photograph. Not even a single minister is without mask. What kind of message you are giving to the people of Delhi?
No, what photograph is this? No, one second. What photograph is this?
This is the whole ministry on Akshardham Mandir Diwali day. This is a photograph which has been tweeted by CM himself. Nobody is wearing masks.
Okay.
Nobody, Jacob, nobody is wearing masks.
I think,
what kind of message you are giving?
One second. I mean, I don't know about the photograph. Yeah, if Mr. Khurana is showing the photograph. The point is, I think there's a legitimate question to be asked as well. When you were doing Lakshmi Puja, you should have been ramping up Delhi's health infrastructure. But Dr. Bagai, please come into this debate and give us the doctor's point of view. You said this last time as well on our broadcast, and I think it's worth reiterating how pollution plus COVID is an even more lethal combination.
Good evening, everyone. I'll just answer your question in two parts. One is when you're talking in terms of COVID, which is an airborne microaerosol infection, there are four parts to it. So one is a virus related. We know that in winter there are viral shifts and drifts. There are certain recent mutations which have taken place. There are newer receptors, newer proteins. So basically what this virus is doing, it fools our immune system, it dysregulates it and moves on from one human being to another human being. There are environmental factors. There are enough case studies which have been published to show pollution increasing in Asia, Southeast Asia, including India, almost 27% because it damages the air cells. There is a decrease in temperature and relative humidity. It increases the transmission rate 19%. Also, indoor air transmission in closed communities or in crowded areas and residential spaces also increases. There are host factors. So what we are now seeing is the younger adults worldwide to show a threefold increase, the 20s to 40s age group, because they are the ones who've thrown caution to the wind. They are going out, they are partying, they're socializing,
Correct.
and their incidence is increasing. Now, what is really important is a behavioral issue, the fourth point. That's crowding in closed spaces, socializing, gathering, festivities, and most important is the mask. Now, to summarize this, I will give completely in an apolitical manner. I think the central government and the state government both are working in the interest of the society, and we as doctors can do the least what we can do is to continue to contribute medically. My humble suggestions are as follows. Every market and every mall and every area in a residential space, especially in colonies, must have sufficient amount of mask vending machines. We don't need Coke and Pepsi vending machines. We need mask vending machines. The mask has to enter as an aspect into our DNA.
Yeah.
We have to become invasive to make people realize that this is not only for this winter, mind you, because this vaccine, by the time it reaches mass population worldwide, is at least 12 to 24 months away.
Correct.
So we have to continue this for the better part of the entire next year. The second is we can use the community halls in residential areas, the community centers, for the RT-PCR tests. What I have seen in clinical practice, a lot of patients have difficulty in getting appointments from various labs and things. Centralize it, it will become easier, more convenient, plus the patients will travel less. Therefore, the transmission in the community will be less exposed.
Okay.
The third important point which I want to make as a suggestion is we can find the people, but also keep in mind that the shopkeepers, they're the of the shops, they themselves have a responsibility not to allow so many crowd in a given closed space. So their implementation of a fine should be heavier on them. In fact, I will go to the extent in saying if a particular shopkeeper or if a particular outlet does not maintain what we call as COVID appropriate behavior, social norm and masking, and there is too much of crowd what the space can't contain, that shop should be closed for a week.
No, so Reena Gupta, the point is now you're saying that we're looking at some kind of restrictions in marketplaces in Delhi. Look at these pictures. This was in the run-up to Diwali and the festive season and so on. I think Dr. Bagai is right. I mean, if there is responsibility of the individual to wear mask, and now it's a good thing you're increasing the fine, there should also be responsibility for the shopkeepers who allow more people to come to their shop. Yes, they want to get business because they've been shut down for 6 months. But that doesn't mean that they put everybody, including themselves, at risk.
Dr. Bagai has made some really good suggestions, and I'll be very happy to pass them on to the government. This question about market areas, we have been trying to do this. Actually, in the beginning also, we tried to do this odd even thing in the market area. So, only some of the shops will open and some will not open. But on the ground, it was very, very difficult to implement and regulate, and there were many issues. Again, the Chief Minister is talking to the various market associations to see how this can be implemented. So going forward, yes, it would be implemented, but through your channel, I also would like to request all the citizens of Delhi to please not venture out without wearing a mask, because we are conducting 60,000 tests a day. There is not another city here in India or anywhere in the world which is conducting as many tests. Tests are being conducted in mohalla clinics, in schools, there are mobile vans everywhere. So please, just please practice COVID appropriate behavior. If you're exposed, please get yourself tested.
Fair enough. I think the testing point is well taken. I think the testing point is well taken.
It's a question of livelihood.
Mr.
Please do not venture out.
Mr. Khurana, please respond. I mean, Delhi is also showing greater positivity rate and greater prevalence of COVID because Delhi is also testing an awful lot more than any other city in the country.
Jacob, we also want this coronavirus should be tackled smoothly. And for this, we are ready to support anything. We have already supported before also in the central government, and we will talk about 7th June. Today also, Centre is extending a full support to Delhi government, whatever they want. We are ready for that. But we need to have an awareness campaign drive, which BJP Delhi is now starting from tomorrow also, again, second phase. First phase, we already done it. On red light, we have already stated that ki do gaz zaruri and mask bhi hai zaruri. So the same campaign is going to start from tomorrow morning also. So we are with the government. We are with the government as a political party, and we agree with the Chief Minister what he said ki rajniti hum baad mein karte rahenge. But at least you should implement to your spokesperson and other people also ki rajniti side mein rakhiye, and we should have a campaign drive where we have a mask drive. People should wear masks. Health infrastructure should be
fair enough.
Proper.
I think those are all fair points.
We are ready with the government.
I'm going to wrap up and thank Dr. Bagai, Harish Khurana and Reena Gupta for joining us. Look, this is a situation that we all need to pull together now, and especially in the national capital. I'm not sure about the situation in other cities, but definitely in the national capital, it's the onset of winter, there is pollution, and of course this whole festivities and shopping in the lead up to the festive season. All of that needs to be kept in mind. We need to show restraint. We need to exercise restraint. Now is the time to come together as a city to pull us back from the brink. We're literally looking at an explosion of cases here in the national capital. Let's try and pull it back a notch or two. But amidst all of this gloom, there is some good news on the vaccine front. A day after Pfizer announced that its trials are now showing 95% efficacy, the coronavirus vaccine developed by Oxford and AstraZeneca is producing a strong immune response in older adults. Remember, the Serum Institute of India has ramped up its production for the Oxford vaccine. It's hoping to have about 100 million doses ready by December if the final stage trial data shows that the vaccine gives effective protection from the virus. Let me now go across to Dr. Isaac Bogoj. He's an infectious diseases specialist at the Toronto General Hospital. First things first, we've had some very good news just this past week from Pfizer, from Moderna. All of their results look very promising. What is your take, Dr. Bogoj, on how this vaccine becomes accessible to the entire world, including developing countries like India, without compromising on who gets it first or who has access to it first?
Yeah, so it's obviously fantastic news by Pfizer and Moderna. And while, of course, no one has seen all the data, it looks like these viruses are going to cross, or these vaccines are going to cross the finish line. Now, we've heard that vaccine programs may start as early as late 2020 in the United States. I think more realistically for the rest of the world, it's going to be sometime in early 2021. There's big programs like COVAX, which are being rolled out, which really aim to get vaccines into low-income settings and low-resource settings in countries that just might not have the capacity to muscle their way in and jockey for position among the companies to get access to the vaccine. So unfortunately, I think it's going to be more of the high-income countries that get this first, but there are programs that look to be very successful that will help have more equitable distribution of these products.
So how do countries like India, countries in Africa, other poorer countries in Asia deal with this so-called vaccine nationalism that we're seeing, whether it's the US or countries in Europe, countries in the developed world saying that, look, we have first rights over this vaccine because these manufacturing companies are headquartered here?
I think it's going to be very challenging. And unfortunately, I don't mean to be a pessimist. I'm just trying to have a realistic view of this situation. I think it's pretty clear that the countries that are producing these vaccines and many of the high-income countries will have much greater vaccine rollout earlier on compared to other countries in the world, especially low-income countries. It's not fair. it's not right, but I think that's what we're going to see. But again, there are big global pushes, and this COVAX program, which is run by the World Health Organization with some other huge partners, Gavi is the other big partner involved, really aim to use a combined effort to really have significant purchasing benefits, so you can pool money and purchase vaccine en masse, and really work with various countries to roll out vaccine programs. And you know what? It's great because the pipeline for vaccines is pretty impressive. There's over 200 vaccines in development. 50 of them are now in human clinical trials. And I think we're going to have several vaccines cross that finish line probably in the 2020 calendar year and perhaps even shortly after that.
Okay, Dr. Isaac Bogoch, thanks very much from the Toronto